After the speech, have a moment of silence. I mentioned Tom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you could do the moment of silence after the...
That's not right. That's something wrong. That's some mistake.
Bubblegum gangster.
And this guy Bazooka Joe right here.
I don't know about the rest of you.
You're listening to me. No talking.
No talking.
No talking.
Thank you, Vinny.
Hi, Peter. How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm telling you, that's a mistake. Hello, Michael.
Thank you. Vinny, whenever you're ready.
You can start, or the meeting's already live.
Okay, thanks. Good evening. It is Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, and welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board meeting. Tonight is a work session, and we have 10 items on the agenda. I call this meeting to order, and I ask if everyone would please rise and face the flag. We have Aiden and Logan from Mahopac Troop 1 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. They are working on their Citizen in the Community Merit Badge. Gentlemen, the microphone over there.
I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I ask for a moment of silence to remember a friend, a colleague, the supervisor of Yorktown, Thomas Diana, who passed away suddenly on Friday. Many of us had worked with him over the years. An unbelievable public servant, an unbelievable man, police officer for Westchester County, and the loss is felt not just in Yorktown, but to all those who met him and knew him. So let's just remember the people of Yorktown and his family and his wife Donna and their children.
Thank you, and thank you, Scouts. And so I ask the board to review the minutes from the December 13th, 2023 meeting. And if there is anyone in the public here in the audience, business or resident, that would like to get up and speak, please just get up. Just please go up to the microphone, tell us your name, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Michael Borelli, longtime resident, big taxpayer, former councilman. Before I get into what I want to discuss, I'm only bringing this up because of the weather yesterday. And today's the day that brings out all of the, shall we say, slow or ignorant keyboard warriors that blame me for the lake in behind the bank. If you remember, Frank, it was a long time ago, and you probably don't remember, Sue. We were supposed to put in a pump pit. What you guys are working on there, and please don't take this off my time, this is to help you. There's a concrete pit there that takes silt, okay? And it must have been cleaned after the last storm because it pumped pretty good today. But it's also undersized, and the person that put it in, B&J, We had a long conversation today. And the pipe that goes to the pump is too small. So that's why they put in a smaller pump. This was supposed to be fixed 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So every time people see water there, it's only because the pump is undersized, not because the lake is overflowing. So I would please ask one of you to reach out, get it fixed, so my name can come off the internet. With that being said, let's get the, also, I think that was one of the greatest things, and I really browbeated you guys on it, Frank and Sue, on purchasing that property. It was a great price. Which brings me into purchasing another piece of property at a great price. It's come to my attention that you might already signed this, but there's a contract for over double what the previous board members have negotiated on a piece of property belonging to the school. And before I get into the details of that, I noticed on your first meeting agenda, which is usually 40, 50 items of appointments, that the last two, number 46 and 47, are different. Now, number 46 says, on the official agenda that the public sees, resolution authorizing entry into contract for purchase of real estate. I'm assuming you all voted yes on it. No?
It was not voted on.
Excuse me?
It was not voted on. It was
Because
tabled.
the agenda item number 46 was on a regrading.
It was on a regrading?
It's on a regrading.
Yeah, they were
Number
taking-
46 on your agenda says purchase of property. Number 46, buried under the 2 or 3 inches of papers at the end of a very long night, says regrading.
It was taken off the agenda.
It was taken off the agenda?
Yeah, it was taken off for that reason, that because they were going to be,
Well,
because they were going to be.
it was on the agenda on this paper.
I know, but
It would have been nice to tell the public.
Yeah.
That was an error.
So if I may ask, authorizing into contract for what property?
That would have been the school property.
School property. Interesting. So this board continued to negotiate with the school without any input from Kenny and myself, because I'm going to give you a little history, Mr. Cazzari. When I took the job for the town, first thing I did was go to every department, and I saved the police department for last. And going downstairs to what I'll use the term a toilet of a workplace is disgraceful. And with the amount of women we have now as police officers, double disgraceful, because they don't have their own privacy bathroom or locker room. I went out looking for property. And I reached out to an old friend of mine who was the superintendent of schools at the time, because I heard that they were thinking of moving their offices into this middle Mahopac Falls School. So I says, Kenny, set up a meeting. I want to negotiate with them. So he set up a meeting, and we went there, and it was actually a really funny first meeting because Leslie Mancuso, I believe, is the female version of me in negotiations. So we had a lot of fun. And we said to the board, what would you like? What do you want for the property? And they said, $2 million. And they said, what do you want to pay? And I said, $1. And they started laughing, and I took my glasses off, and I said, no, I'm very serious. The town board will pay $1 to move the school property over to the town property, because the property can't be sold anyway. And we'll get into that point in a second. So Leslie started laughing and says, you serious? Guys, I'm dead serious. I said, I'm dead serious. And we did a lot of homework. Kenny did a lot of homework. That property was donated to the children, taxpayers, and for the use of Mahopac citizens. And I think it was Ms. Mancuso or somebody else that was there said, we could sell the property to CVS for $4 million. I said, no, you can't. There's a deed restriction on it. He said, show me. Now, it's very interesting that nobody can find the deed restriction. The school can't find it. Because me and Kenny, and Frank and Sue were there too, asked Mr. Foschetti there to please look into this. And it seems the deed couldn't be found. Excuse me, I have a bad throat. So I did some homework, and I went to a lot of senior citizens, similar to when we built the beach, and I wanted to see old pictures of Mahopac. I went to a lot of them, the ones that are still alive. And I got a couple of written testimonials. One of them notarized, the other person passed away. And I said to the school board, I says, you sell that property to anybody, I will do an Article 78, I will stop you and you will lose in court. I said, now let's get serious. I says, all you want to do is take your tax number and keep it flat, and take the town's tax number and raise it. And when we were looking at the property, the interest rate was 0, so I don't know what you borrow money at now. The money we got for the airport park and the other things we borrowed at 0. So they said, well, Anthony said to me, it's probably going to cost us $1.5 million to build it out, Anthony. You have an existing building, you're retrofitting rooms, maybe a couple of partitions. I said, what are you going to spend, $500,000 on furniture? Because I know they're not taking all their old furniture. So bottom line is, I says, you want to be serious, you want to be fair? I says, probably going to cost you $1 million, $1.2 million. And I went from 50 years of experience. We went back and forth, and, well, it's probably going to cost us $1 million, $1.2 million. I said to Kenny, what do you want to do? He says, we'll offer him $6 million. I think, Frank, you got upset that we offered the money without coming back to the board. And we settled somewhere between 6 and 8. We said, look, you show us it's going to cost you $1.5 million, we'll give you $750,000. In that way, your budget stays the same, our budget stays the same with the taxpayers. Instead of insulting the taxpayers, the school board doesn't show anything, but we do. The taxpayers are paying for it, whether it's the school taxes or the town taxes, we're paying for it. It's a no-brainer, okay? They need that building. I sure hope you negotiated. First of all, I think whoever led the negotiations was an absolute fool for not calling me or Kenny, even off the record. I think it's disgraceful, too. It's a disservice to the taxpayers. So I'm looking at a contract that says $1,341,000. Is that what you're paying for the property?
Nope,
Okay, so are we changing this contract?
that's not the contract. I mean, that was not voted on.
It was not voted on. But it got close enough to a contract at $1,341,000. I think the town public should be a little more involved in this. And I think the slap in the face to me and Kenny is well taken. But I am going to watch this like a hawk. And if you guys pay a penny more than $750, I promise you, right here, right now, I will pay for the Article 78. I have 3 people behind me that'll make it a class action suit. And I'm quite sure if I go out in town with this, I'll get a couple hundred signatures within a day. Probably 2,000 signatures within 2 weeks. It can be done. So please keep that in the back of your head as you negotiate, fresh, without Kenny and mine input. Executive session tonight, there's nothing on it, it just says executive session. When do we stop taking off what it's for?
Now, we have personnel things. That's,
Well, you should
we have a
say
new.
personnel.
I know, we
okay? And,
We're in transition, sir.
yeah, there's a lot of transitions that I'm very aware of how they work. PD designated. Oh, and on here, on number 21 of your designating stuff, you designated an insurance agent. I'm assuming it's Brown & Brown? You accepted their proposal? Did anybody get another proposal? No. So the last time somebody got a proposal outside of Brown & Brown was me. You did one last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago? Okay. Well, I think I saved about 50, 60,000 because Brown & Brown came back and matched them. So you accepted an insurance for multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars with no other bid. And on number 39, you reviewed and renewed the Town of Carmel procurement policy. I find that extremely ironic. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Frank Ciano, longtime resident. I don't have much to say tonight, guys, because, you know, I don't want to listen to the bullshit here. But I think we should do something about ATI and Route 6. Are we going to clean it up, or are we just going to leave it a mess like that? Huh? It's terrible. Come on. Well, I'm talking to you guys. I mean, you answered his questions. You don't answer my questions last week, but Mr. Borelli speaks. Oh, now chirp back. So I'm asking you, are you going to do something about ATI? Are you going to clean it up, or is it going to look like a
Yes,
piece of garbage? You know, come
yes,
on.
Frank, we spoke with the building department yesterday.
Okay.
Ask about Law 114.
How about Law 114? But I'm just saying, you guys, we got to clean this place up, no?
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's-
What are we doing? It's been going like this for years, and it's worse than ever.
Yeah, but the code, the town code.
Okay.
You have to go after the owner of the property.
Okay.
The owner of the property owes $611,000
Yeah, and the owner of the
to
property.
taxpayers.
Yeah.
Right.
And the owner of the property is dead,
Yes,
So,
okay?
but
that's
technically,
the
we own it.
point. That's the point. is
Okay, so-
There is not an owner to go after for that.
We have a tax lien on it. Basically, we're the owners, no? Is that not how it works? Right, they have to lien it. So, I mean, come on, guys. Are you, this bullshit? No, come on, you know. It's ours, really, so lien it, do what you have to do, clean the place up. It's terrible. If I had a car with no license plate on it and no registration, you guys would give me a ticket in 2 seconds. If I had a pile of shit in front of my house, you'd call the dog person on. That is what's going on over there, okay? And you are allowing it. Like I told you last time.
You can't
You
cite.
work for us.
You
Frank,
guys
you all
can't-
work for us, the
Frank,
taxpayers.
So what, you want me to cite, you want me to have the building department cite
You
me
don't think you-
for it being a mess?
Go
That's
over
what
there
you're
and clean
saying.
it up.
We spoke, Frank,
I mean, you have a little park cleanup, have a little ATI cleanup. Let's get everybody over there, throw stuff in a bag, a dumpster, and let's get it cleaned up. Come on. Am I not right?
Yeah, you're not right.
Can you, I'm
Because
not, huh?
if it was your property that was a mess,
I'd get a ticket.
we would have it cleaned up, and then you would have to pay for it.
Okay.
So
So
if,
we basically own it because we have a tax lien on it.
so you want us all to pay whatever number it is, hundreds of thousands to
You
clean it
think
up?
so that, you think that's hundreds of thousands to clean up the mess, the garbage he has all over, the illegal cars, the fence, the garbage behind it?
Isn't that property contaminated?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Frank, this property, Frank, this property has been an issue for, not just this past year, for a lot of years.
I understand
A
that.
lot. Like I said before, that Michael Carnazzo was made aware again last night. He is going to work on it, like, I was going to say, Dr.
Same way you worked on
Okay.
Leffer for the last 10 years.
Right.
And Mike, and this, you know
But
what,
guys,
I'm not going to
there's
get back
illegal
and forth.
cars
I
there
have
with no
my
registration. How come he
comments
doesn't
for
get a
the
ticket
end.
for that?
Can we
I mean,
tell
guys,
those
come on
cars
now.
lie?
Well, that would be the police to go look at abandoned cars, and we'll ask them to take a look at vehicles with no registration.
Talk to Mike, talk to the local police, let's do something, huh?
Yes.
I'm not gonna say anything else tonight, Mike, because I know I don't want to even hear it. I don't like what's going on here anyhow.
Thank you.
What's going on now?
Thanks, Frank.
Michael Lugo. I am a resident of Mahopac, New York.
Just to piggyback off of what Mr. Borelli had stated earlier, I wasn't aware that the town was trying to purchase another piece of property. Just to be a little bit more transparent with the people and the public, I think that that's something that I think we should be aware of. I know it was on the agenda last week, I believe, number 46. Before we purchase any more land, don't you think we should handle the land that we already purchased? That's been sitting there for about 6 to 7 years. That's an eyesore that everybody else passes by and, you know, has something to say and blames this guy over here. But if you guys could do something about it, you know, that'd be nice too. That's all I have to say.
Maybe you should be on the board, Udo. Hey, get up
This-
there and do something.
That's a kind of, thanks.
Well, you got to dance, Angela, I get you, baby. You know, let's go over here. We're family, let's go.
All right. So there,
I have a question. Can we, if there is unregistered vehicles and abandoned vehicles, can we
You
not
can go
tow,
after- you
can we
can-
not tow those vehicles? Because I agree with Frank, it is an eyesore in town.
It has
It's-
been
it's
an
on-
ice,
if
It
an
has
abandoned
been
vehicle's on the roadway,
Or on the property.
but
Rob,
it's
thi-
private property, it's
this
not,
property has been an eyesore for the last
So what about
5 to
now?
7
I have a
years.
legal car there, there's no license plate, and you get a ticket. Come on, you're a police officer, you used to be, come on, stop, Mike.
town code says if you have more than 2 unregistered vehicles on your property, you, the homeowner, can get a ticket.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go.
Do you want me to give myself a ticket for unregistered cars? It's,
Go over there and look at the unregistered cars, look at what's going on.
We can
There's legal
impound them though,
code.
can't we?
Come on, guys.
Could
I
we,
don't
could we
know if you can
impound those
impound them.
vehicles?
we'll talk to,
Did you
We'll
just say
see.
they go on the roadway?
what? I said if a vehicle is on the roadway unregistered, yes.
Really?
What, really?
Well, you're defining Leffer's business. You just defined Leffer's business on the roadway. Next week.
And- Exactly. Anybody else? Okay, if there are no other comments, James Gilchrist, our first item, Director of Recreation and Parks, consider request to accept license agreement, American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers 2024 Sunset Concert Series.
Sure.
Jim?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
So this rate has been going up every year. I think this year it went up 3.24%. So we started off around $250, and each year it just keeps going up a little bit. So we're up to $500 for the year, and that covers any musical events that we have, any music on recorded for like an answering machine or an answering service in the town hall, anything we do with the senior citizens. So anything the town of Carmel is involved with music, we're covered. So this is something that we have to do annually, and that's why I'm here to bring in front of you guys to get it approved. Greg's fully aware with the whole process. We've been doing it for years.
Anybody have questions? Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
And the second item is consider request to award the bid for Airport Park Playground installation.
So we finally got to the finish line here. Nina and Rich Franzetti have been working on this over the last number of months. They finally got everything together. It's a little bit different than any other playground that we've installed in the town. It'll have a poured-in-place rubber surface underneath it that's pervious where the rainwater can go right through it. There'll be a gravel bed underneath it. And that's, we're doing that so that all children can play in the playground. It's an inclusive playground. Normally, we would have the 5-bar, which are the wood chips. And that product is very expensive. We had prices back in 2022 to do the poured-in-place surface for that playground. The estimate with prevailing wages is about $103,000 on top of a gravel bed that was installed by the town. So it's probably around a $150,000 project to just to do the safety surface. The playground equipment that we bought was about $115,000. So the Recreation Committee debated this for a number of meetings, and they thought it was worth the money to go with putting this in as a poured-in-place rubber surface playground, opposed to doing 5-bar or anything else that's loose. This is being fully funded through a New York State grant through the dormitory. So that'll be covered. And we have additional funds that we've been carrying in a capital line in the airport park to do all the finishing touches. After this playground goes in, we're going to want to fence the area, put some nice benches, maybe a shade structure over there. So there'll be some additional funds that are available for that. So the prices that came in are very close to what we originally, I think it was around $36,000 on the Sourcewell contract that we did not go with at the time, plus the $150,000. So it's very close to what these numbers came in at. Rich vetted out the construction company we're recommending. They have excellent references. They've been in business for about 7 years or so, and they're more than capable of putting this playground in. So the plan is to start this probably beginning of March sometime, and have it done before, or the plan is to try to have it done before Memorial Day weekend, where we'd like to have a grand opening and really, do the whole, the park is complete. 'Cause this is the last real big item in the park to get this in, and then we have some other amenities that we have planned, tree plantings and lighting and different things. But this is one of the big pieces that we started off in the beginning. We had a very active playground committee that we would have them at the grand opening along with the town board and Senator Harcum and everybody else that was involved. So this is going to be a great thing when it goes in. And it's an airport theme. There's a big tower up in the center of the playground that goes up, and all of the playground equipment has some kind of an airport theme to it. And if I remember correctly, Susie, it was red, white, and blue, right? Is that what the colors that we picked out? So we would recommend going with GeoCorp contracting for $203,258, and you're ready to go as long as you guys are okay with that.
That's included, fully funded by the grant as well.
Yes. What happens is it's a reimbursable grant. So we bought all the equipment. I think it was about $115,000. They go through to make sure that wherever you bought it from is in a business that's licensed to work in New York State. They go through a whole vet, they audit it, make sure everything, where is it located, they want receipts that it was delivered, and then they'll reimburse us. So that takes about 3 weeks. With an installer, what we did is we went through to make sure that they are licensed to work in New York State, because the dormitory authority will go through all this. And we've had some grants where some small projects, like replacing sidewalks, we had local vendors that were working on it. We assumed that they were licensed to work in New York State. They were not. So we were not able to get that refunded through the grant. So it was very important that we made sure that was done with this company. And they've also worked with some other municipalities on similar projects, which is nice. So they understand the prevailing wage, performance bonds, everything else that was involved with this project.
So the plan is to start in March and finish by the end of May?
Yeah, that's the plan, but it's up to a contractor. What we did is we gave, if I remember, I think it was 180 days from when we were in the bidding process, because what happens is the safety surface needs to go down with a certain temperature. It can't be too cold, can't be too warm, you can't have any rain involved. So what I think is going to end up happening is the playground's going to get installed. Well, first you do is you do the gravel bed, then you come back, you drill the holes for all the equipment, and then clean those spoils out of there, and then you install the equipment, and then you come in with the safety surface. But that has to be done, again, when everything is perfect. You can't have any rain hit it until it dries. It can't be cold, and it can't be too hot. So, May is a perfect month to do something like that. But you know what else happens in May? You have May showers. Like we had in the fall, it rained 8 weekends in a row. So that's the weather could hold us up, but I'm pretty confident if they get all this front-end work done in March and April, I think it should be pretty much buttoned up by mid to late May, at the latest.
Yes.
All right. So, but they do have a window that from when the bids were received to when it's supposed to be completed.
Was there a difference in the bids? Because I see one's substantially higher than the others.
That's typical municipal bidding. They probably don't understand performance bonds and other things that were involved.
Was there any alternates baked into the bid or no?
Yeah, we had basic stuff like yards of item 4. If they have to bring in more, there's allowances that were in there.
And did the bid for 279, does that include those alternates?
They all do, they're all identical.
They all do? So-
They were all good bids that came in.
Okay.
Yep. And then Rich went through to make sure that they all understood, and they were very similar, but,
The scope of work?
yeah, but you can tell, some people, when they first start bidding on municipal jobs, they come in too high.
And then they
And the other thing is, you could get a bidder that comes in too low.
Yeah.
We've had that before, and we reject it because they're gonna get hurt. They
Yeah.
don't understand what they're bidding at.
So Jimmy, I noticed that they did have 20 references, but only one was a playground installation.
That's correct.
And you contacted the person
We got in touch with
who-
them. Yeah, they're a fence installer. That's their main line of work. But if you look at a playground, you're basically installing fence posts. It's all posts that are going in.
Well,
That-
I kind of disagree a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but
because
that's
it has a lot
typically,
more
they're not
than
doing,
fence.
building a foundation or doing anything. They're drilling holes, putting pipes in and
Yeah,
concrete.
But you or Rich or somebody spoke to the person who did the playground
Yes.
installation, and they've had no issues with it?
Rich contacted them, yes.
Okay.
And was it Papito, the company that's local? Did they have experience installing playgrounds? So I see that they're out of the 3 contractors, they're the only ones local to Carmel.
Just,
Well, I think
No, here it
Geocorp might be,
says-
they might reside.
One
they-
related
they
to
might- I think they're
service
from
and
Carmel,
basic
if I'm not
quality.
mistaken. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, one I know was down in,
It's not-
Bradhurst area. I'm
It's
not
not
sure. I
whether
don't remember
one
where they're-
bidder is more qualified than the next. It's a matter
No,
of
New
whether or
York.
not one's a qualified bidder. If they're qualified and they're low, you have to.
It's
you have
down in
to work-
Elmsford. They call it Bradhurst.
yeah, so they,
Frank, Frank,
so,
not from the audience.
Yeah, I see
No.
that.
yeah, so pretty much the
You
same.
can talk,
You're
you can talk.
disrupting the meeting, please. I asked you not to do
All
that.
right, thanks, Jimmy.
Okay.
I don't want to ask you to leave. I'm not doing it, you're doing it.
All right, can we get back on with, let's get back on
Sure.
to the meeting.
Any other questions with that?
Yeah, so as long as you're sitting there.
There you go.
And no disrespect for the former councilman that was speaking, yes, the concrete box may be undersized, the pipe may be undersized, but when the pump is going and the lake is as high as it is, where does the water go after you pump it out?
All right, so I'll give you a little history on that pump that's in there.
But just that the water comes back in.
No, we have a problem. It's in a sump that's maybe 5 foot by 5 foot, 4 feet deep.
Yes.
I suggested putting a septic tank in the ground with baffles, because the problem is you have all the garbage around the bank and around the gas station. It all heads down, and it was clogging up the pump, and there were bottles and trash were getting stuck in the impeller. That's what the problem we had years ago.
Yes.
So what I did is I put wire mesh in front of the pump pit. So now it gets stuck with all the newspapers, all the garbage that people throw out when they're eating lunch in the parking lot. That all goes down there. So we have to sweep it off. So we keep up with it, and the water will go through and out. The pipe was upgraded probably at least 3 years. It was right when we discovered that oil tank behind the oil chamber building. The old pipe was taken out, and a new pipe was put in. That pump that's in there now is designed, B&J did a lot of research on it, and it was, if I'm not mistaken, used for pumping out subway station, like a subway station type pump. Does a tremendous amount of water. The problem is, if you go down there, you'll see the water. If you remember, I had sandbags years ago. There's a low spot in the back when you go straight out on the left. Water trickles in there, and it comes around that front wall that we put up, that concrete wall. We were supposed to blacktop up to about 10 inches high to hold the water back. The water comes in there, and it comes in the back. The lake is high, and when you get that kind of rain, usually what happens is the pump will be pumping, and it'll be coming in. And if it takes a long time, it's because there's a lot of water still coming into the parking lot until the lake goes down. So the pump does work well. If we could stop the rushing water from coming into the park or the parking lot, That would be from that drainage area in the front where that little stone wall is. If we can block that and then block the water on the back left of the parking lot, the pump will maintain the other waters that comes from the gas station and down from the bank and the rest of the parking lot. It can handle that. We actually had the lake higher than the parking lot years ago. We had one of those major rain events. It was about 6 inches higher. We had it held back with a whole line of
The
sandbags.
yeah.
And the pump was able to maintain anything that came through there. So but you have a small, the pump turns off when the sump, that box goes dry. And then it waits for it to fill up again, and just floats in there, and then it'll kick on again. If you had a larger, like a large septic tank, where water can go into that, let it fill up all the way, or halfway up, and then let the pump kick on. It'll be more efficient. It's not on and off, on and off.
Right.
And let it pump out, and then you can take down the wire mesh, and that tank with the baffles will hold the garbage back from getting stuck in the pump.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You got it.
So the third item is from Michael Carnazza, Building and Codes Enforcer. Consider request to return ZBA variance fee for tax map number 7573-35. Carnazza's memo dated December 18th, 2023. Please be advised that a variance fee was charged to McGrail for a variance to construct a dock on Lake Mahopac. Once I realized that the OGS has jurisdiction over docks, Mr. McGrail was advised to seek a permit from OGS and that the variance was not needed. I request that the town board return the fee of $300 for the unneeded area variance, adjoiner labels, and notification signs to the subject, Michael McGrail. If anybody has any questions, we'll just go on that one. And the fourth item is, again, Mike Carnazza. This is bids to, it's accept bids to clean up property under our town code. It's the cleanup 7 Muscoot Road South, Mahopac, tax map 7573-1-1. The building department received 3 bids for the following: 7 Muscoot Road South, clean up all litter and debris, mow, trim, and blow the property. 7 Muscoot Road South, secure the house, close doors, secure to reduce the attractive nuisance. Adjacent parcel, remove all garbage and mow, trim, and blow. The lowest bid received came from Putnam Property Maintenance, and that was at $2,200, and he would like permission to go forward with the cleanup. Next up, number 5 is our police chief, Anthony Hoffman. Consider request to enter into agreement with the Mahopac Central School District for electric entry access system. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. If I may just clarify an earlier point, there is a difference between unregistered vehicles on private property and abandoned vehicles on private property. One falls under the building code and would be handled by the building department. The other would be the vehicle and traffic law, and that would be handled by us. I'll follow up with Building Inspector Carnazza, and we'll take a look at that. So just to wanted to clarify that for everyone.
Thanks, Chief.
So on to our item for your consideration. As I state in my memo, we have an excellent working relationship with the Mahopac School District. It is improving every day. We are actually going to be participating in a lockdown drill tomorrow. They're going to be testing out some of their new security systems, and part of that is an electronic access system that the school district personnel already have. They have it integrated into their ID cards. That's how they get in and out of the buildings. They realize that we have a need to gain access to their facilities in case of a critical call. And instead of having for us to wait around for school personnel to get in, they wanted to look into whether we had the technological capability with our key fobs that all town employees have, these gray little things, to see if they would be compatible to their system. Thankfully, they are, and we are working out the details, one of which being this MOU, that we would be able to participate basically in their access control system. So our IT coordinator, Lieutenant Brown, would coordinate with their IT department, and we'd be able to get all the police officers on their system in order to access all their buildings. And there would be an audit trail. It would only be during, official duty and so forth. But I recommend that we participate in this MOU with the school district and move forward with it. So,
Great.
Are we going to look to do something similar with Carmel School District?
yes, as you know, you and I, Councilman Kearns, we were at the Carmel School District Superintendent Forum over the weekend and participating with them, speaking to their candidate. It seems like they're very interested in also joining in with a similar system. So,
That'd be
yeah,
great.
we hope to do that.
Good. Thanks,
Okay.
Chief.
All right, thank you.
Great job, thank you, Chief. So number 6 is our engineer, Richard J. Franzetti. Consider request to attend conference for the New York Water Environmental Association, February 5th through the 7th, at a cost of $575. Rich?
You basically covered what I was going to say. So if I pay before the 18th, it will be $575. You've allowed me to go to these in the past, especially with all our issues with PFOAs. They'll have some conferences regarding to that. So, so I think it would be beneficial if I'm allowed to attend, and I just, respectfully request the board consider it. And good evening, everyone. How are you all?
Good. And then the 7th item is consider request to accept proposal for PFOA pilot study for the various Town of Carmel water districts, Carmel Water District number 8 and Carmel Water District number 3.
So as the board is aware, the PFOA PFOs results in the water districts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 12 have exceeded New York State maximum contamination level of 10 parts per trillion for both chemicals, rendering the districts non-compliant with the New York State Sanitary Code. The Putnam County Health Department has directed PFOA and PFOS treatment at these facilities. In September of 22, the board authorized JFRA to perform a treatment investigation to assess alternative methods to provide safe drinking water to these residents. The report's still under investigation. In October of 23, JRFA met with the board to discuss the preliminary findings, and before committing to individual treatments at each district, at that time, they recommended a pilot study evaluation of a surface water treatment and a groundwater treatment system. So water districts 2, and then 1, 8, 10, and 13 are from surface waters. The remaining are our groundwater. There's a fine court. There's attached to the memo. There are costs for the pilot study to be performed at Carmel Water 8 and 3 of $140,000, which should be distributed across all 14 water districts, which is around $10,000 per district, as all will eventually benefit from the results of this testing. There will be additional costs for sampling because we have to determine when there will be a breakthrough through some of the media that is there, and the board will be advised as these costs come about. These were not anticipated in the engineering budget submitted in August, and we would need, per the controller, to have budget transfers in the first quarter to fund this expense. Most transfers would come from the operating budget. However, some of the districts may have to be funded from the unreserved fund balance. So we recommend authorization of these pilot studies.
Rich, can you just do me one favor? Because I know the majority of the people probably don't know what a PFOA is. Can you just explain it, like, in layman terms?
I can get on my normal soapbox, but I'll be
Yeah.
very good tonight. So, so PFOAs are a man-made chemical that are used in either fire retardants or Teflon. They're basically ubiquitous. They're found everywhere and in everything right now. They have been known, per the EPA, to possibly cause cancer. Right now, the EPA has a limit of 70 parts per trillion. New York State DEC lowered theirs to 10 and then mandated that, we start sampling on a regular basis and then alert folks that if it's over 10, that we have these exceedances. It's our anticipation that the EPA is going to take that 70, take the 10, and lower it to about 4. And that renders, like in the memo, most, if not all, of our water treatment facilities incapable. Pretty much everyone in the country will be over that 4 parts per trillion. You know, if you wear any kind of waterproof jacket, you have waterproof tents, any waterproof boots, all of them have PFOAs. Meat packaging, orange juice has it. There's not a thing that doesn't touch PFOs or PFOAs right now. And part of the problem is it gets into the water, not because somebody's pouring a gallon of PFOAs in it, it's because you have septic fields or you have wastewater discharges. They contribute to putting it back into the ground and putting it into a surface water, and then ultimately it just accumulates, right? It doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't break down, it needs to be treated. There are the bigger issues that the board is aware of, you know, with regards to, we're gonna treat this now, what do you do with that waste product? How often do you have to do the waste product? How often do you have to change the media? That's why we wanna do the pilot study, to understand which one of the treatment trains we can choose would be the better one to, most cost-effective. Because ultimately, it lies on the people who reside in these water districts who are gonna pay for it. Right.
And it's like the Teflon pots and pans, the Teflon, you know, flippers and
Yep,
everything like that.
all of it.
I just wanted people to understand because it's an everyday use. And
And it has been, and so.
And it
you
has
know,
been for,
Correct. The
eternity.
PFOAs were created in the 40s,
Yep.
and that's been ever since they've been around.
okay,
As the
thank
board
you.
may be aware, and I'll be quick, sorry, Mike.
Nope.
We're participating in a class action suit. There were 2 companies, but right now, we just started that process of getting all the information there. So that's just a matter of, we'll see what happens with that. You know, there's a big pool of money, but a bigger pool of people who are gonna be pulling from it. So who the hay knows what we may or may not be receiving. So.
And the water that we
Thank
pull
you.
from Lake Glenada and Lake Mahopac or Mahopac, those levels are above the 4. So it's not even just, oh, well, we won't use the well.
Yeah.
It's,
Correct.
there's no getting around it. We're
Right.
going to have to filter.
Fortunately,
with
Glenida is the
everything.
closest to the 4, so the treatment, but, you know, it's just, sorry, we do the pilot study, so. But we're, 8's under 10 for under the 10 milligrams, but it's over the 4. And Water District 2 is just marginally above the 4, but again, you know, it's still above the 4, so.
And it's a nationwide issue, not just a Mahopac Carmel.
Yeah.
It's a nationwide issue,
Oh,
not
yeah,
just a
yeah.
Mahopac Carmel issue. So I just want to let people know that as well. Okay.
You know, and Rich, when you explained what a PFOA is, and when the federal government has one number, and then the state came in and lowered it to another number, and then now EPA might lower it to a different number, when they want the people, the residents, to incur the costs of changing because of the changes that they see or dictate, they don't send checks to the municipalities along with the changes that they're making. So, you know, over the years, I've always talked about unfunded mandates. If you're asking us to do something because you decide in your infinite wisdom that something needs to be changed, that's fine. Send us the check along with it, and we will comply. But now you're forcing, each district is gonna be paying roughly $10,000 just for this pilot study.
Right.
And then when we get to what we actually have to do to correct.
It's an order of magnitude higher,
it's-
Frank,
it's
if not more.
It's a number that I don't even want to mention.
Yeah.
And again, it's borne upon the residents of this town. That's what I'm concerned about. But when the state makes these changes, you know, they are not looking to the best interest of the taxpayers when they make these changes. If they were, they would say, we want these changes made, and here's a check. Let us know how much it costs, and we will incur the cost. That's not what's happening here. And the people, you know, are gonna feel it. And it's not the town's fault, it's the state and, I guess, at
And the
some
feds.
point, the federal
Federal.
government.
And federal.
They're making changes, and they're
Yeah.
not paying for it. They're sticking it to the taxpayers.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not just us. It's Suez is
It's-
doing
it's
all
everywhere.
theirs. It's
Yeah.
anybody that has an apartment building, look at White Sale.
Right.
They're crippled with it, yeah.
Yeah, or the private water districts, as Mike mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, they went in and did it themselves, but they were driving their treatment to 10, not to 4.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can meet 4 now, so I'm sure they will, but
All right, thank you.
So
No
then
problem.
our next item and last for Rich Franzetti is consider a request to acknowledge emergency repairs for Carmel Water Districts 2 and 3 and Carmel Sewer District Number 2. Rich?
Well, some of these are old, so in Water District 2 on November 29th, Infomark, the operators of Water 2, notified a water approximate to 13 Collier West, Drive West. It was determined that an 8-inch water main had cracked in that location. There's an invoice from Cook Excavating for $11,423.96 to make the repair. There are sufficient funds, or there were in the 23 budget, to make that repair. Carmel Water 3, some of the board members are aware of that. Just recently happened. Infomark, the operators, let us know that there was a water main break along Secor Road. It occurred overnight and lowered the water level in the storage tank to a point where the pumps were not able to keep up with demand in the system. Supplemental water was needed to supply the system, so there are invoices from Durham Water in the amount of $11,700 to supply water, and in Cook Excavating in the amount of $17,222 to repair the lake overnight, and $10,469 for blacktop restoration because it was in Secor Road, which is a county road, and there are specifications for that are needed that are different than most. There are sufficient funds in the budget. There are, for some of this work, there were insufficient funds in Water 3 operating budget for the blacktop restoration expense, and a budget transfer request from the unreserved fund balance will be needed to encumber the cost for this work. Carmel Sewer District 2 on January 4th, the secondary clarifier sluice gates were in need of replacement. The gates are original from the plant, 25 to 30 years old. There's an invoice in the amount of $15,517 for Jonia LLC to purchase 3 replacement valves. There are sufficient funds in the budget for this work.
Thanks.
And that's all I have for you this evening.
So last but not least, Michael Stern, our Highway Superintendent. Number 9 is to consider request to authorize emergency purchase of Highway Department Allegiance trucks, $9,078.85.
Good evening, Board. Thank you. Yeah, these are from back in December. We have, if you can see in here, this is a very old truck from 2005, 2006 that we had to keep going because we're having a problem getting trucks, and we had to basically do a motor job on it. And obviously, this is now work that is completed, and the truck is back up and running. And we went with the lowest quotes on all the parts on that one. And then for item number 10, which was a transfer case for one of our other Kenworths, which all of them but one now have had the transfer cases replaced. And these are big-ticket items, but other than that, these trucks have really done a very good job. And if you see on that quote, even though it wasn't the cheapest quote, it's because the delivery times for an emergency purchase, we needed these up for the snow removal. And we had a lot of breakdowns this past weekend, but the mechanics really came through and did a great job. And we, shout out to the guys at the Highway Department because, like always, they can make anyone look good.
Yeah, they did a great job.
They did.
So we're still waiting on 2 trucks, I think 3.
2 of our trucks we're waiting on from August of '22, and they are claiming that the chassis factory burnt down. And we've been in touch with them many, many times in the past week and a half. So we are looking into possible other alternatives because we need trucks. Again, these ones that we're putting money into are from 05 and 06. These are very old for our highway department, and while they're still decent, they're on their last leg.
So I commend you. Great job on the snowstorm. Your staff
Thank you.
did a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. They did a great job.
You made us proud, Mike. Great job.
Oh, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
So, announcements, snow removal. We just had our first storm of the season. Just everybody remember that from November 15th to April 15th, residents are asked to remove their vehicles from the road, especially at night from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., where you can receive a summons from the police for parking on the road. Our tax receiver wants us to remind you that the bills were mailed out on Friday the 29th, and they are due back the end of this month, the 31st. If you did not receive your tax bill, you can find it online on the Town of Carmel website. You can also stop in to Town Hall and see the tax receiver's office. They will print you a new one if you would like. And just so you know, not paying your bill because you didn't get it in the mail is not an excuse. You will still be responsible for that. The Christmas tree pickup is Saturday and Friday. Friday, it is Oak Ridge Waste. If you have Oak Ridge as your company, it's going to be Friday the 12th and then January 19th. And if you have AAA, it is Saturday, January 13th. Have your tree out there, not in a bag, no ornaments, no lights on it, and it's got to be out by the road. Comment-wise, just the only thing that I would like to say about the school property is you cannot purchase something, the town cannot purchase something without an appraisal. I think that is a law. Is that not?
It's a highly recommended process.
Highly recommended.
Okay.
So we had our appraisal done on the property, which was lower than the school's appraisal, and we met in the middle. So that's where we're at. And originally, I thought the property was worth $775, like the former councilman said, but that's not what our appraisal was. Anybody else have comments?
Yeah, I just have, go ahead, Rob.
No, you go first.
All right, that on March 2nd, the Carmel Rotary Club is going to be having their 17th Annual Community Basketball Challenge. So please go to www.carmelrotary.org and click on Challenge. And I'm hoping, I know Kenny, we used to go up there and shoot, and then Frank, we used to go and shoot, so even Mr. Kevin over there is invited. We're going to hopefully get a town team together to go up. It's a fun time, and it's for a great cause. So please go to www.carmelrotary.org. And then I just had a few of my comments until the end also. One was the Mahopac school property. I know, Michael, you were saying, you know, that you weren't aware of it, but as Councilman Borelli mentioned, it has been spoken about, oh my God, many, many, many years. All right, so it's not something new. And he also said, and he was right, that Mike and Kenny went, spoke to the school, and I remember Frank coming back and saying, you guys have to come back and let us know. You know, so there, it's always been communication, you know, but it's not something new. It's been here it's been around for a long time. Frank, I agree with you 1,000% regarding the ATI. I've agreed with that for the last probably, I'm going to say 7 or 8 years. It has been a pigsty. It has been disgusting. I'm glad you're coming out now. I wish you came out before also with it. It's not a new problem. I wish it was an easy problem where we can just go and wipe it out, similar to what we did here. We're going to go clean it up, I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, there's hidden stuff, but I can assure you that we did speak last night to Mike Carnaz, and I said, Mike, and he was saying the same thing, you know, we can't do this. I said, you have to find something to do because it's a SHIT hole. It just is, and it's right there. All right, so it's just not pleasant to look at, and that's not something that I want or most of the people in the town want. You know, it's got to be nice property. I think that was all I had. Yeah.
Polar plunge?
Polar plunge, yes. I just want to keep spreading the word. January 27th, the VFW at 154 East Lake Boulevard. We're going to be hosting Operation Ice Splash. It's going to be a polar plunge event to raise some funds for our post. We're going to have a DJ, food trucks, some face painting for the kids, vendors. Stop on by. It's going to be a great time, and our supervisor here is going to take the plunge.
The ambulance is going to be there too, right?
Yes.
All right. And a, no, not for you, just, and a sauna. It was just perfect timing.
Our highway supervisor will also be joining us too, and Chief Hoffman said he would join.
As a jumper?
Oh, I'm joining, but as a spectator.
I will video all of you and take pictures.
Yeah, it's a great, I can't wait for it. It's going to be really fun.
time.
I think I have COVID.
That's it for me.
2 weeks away.
Oh, I don't have COVID yet. Yes, we're gonna, anything else?
No, that's it.
Yeah, so we're gonna go into executive session for personnel matters.
I make a motion to go into executive session for personnel matters.
All in favor? Aye. Good night, we'll see you on the 17th.